Have you ever stayed late at work, long after the last voice vanished from the halls? In modern cities filled with steel and glass, we convince ourselves we're safe under fluorescent lights behind keycard entries next to blinking security panels. But safety is an illusion. And late at night when the world forgets to watch, something else watches for it. In tonight's video, you'll hear 3 true scary stories from people who thought their workplace was just that, a workplace. Until reality cracked open and let something through. A programmer sees something impossible reflected in her screen. A security guard discovers a deformed figure hiding in the deepest parts of a Manhattan high-rise. And a call center worker opens a door to a room that should never have existed. If you've ever worked late alone, if you've ever walked a hallway that felt too quiet, or looked into a monitor and thought you saw someone behind you, then you'll want to listen closely. Because what you'll hear tonight is true. And once you know what's out there, you may never feel safe alone at work again. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and prepare to see your office in a very different light. Story 1. The Reflected Woman. Have you ever stayed late at the office, long after everyone else has gone home? When the hum of the fluorescent lights becomes deafening, and every creak in the walls makes your heart skip a beat. I used to think those fears were just in our heads. Until one rainy night, I learned otherwise. I'm a programmer for a game development company based in Orlando. It's a decent job, creative, flexible hours, but tight deadlines. That week was especially brutal. We were days from a major beta launch, and I'd already been pulling all-nighters. By the 5th night, it was just me and Chaz, another dev still buried in code long after 8 p.m. Outside, the storm was relentless thunder cracking every few minutes, the kind of rain that didn't fall. It attacked the windows. Each lightning flash lit up the office like a strobe, casting twitching shadows across the glass walls and cubicles. Around 8:30, Chaz walked into my office, rubbing his eyes. "Hey," he muttered, "I'm heading out. Can you lock up?" I nodded, gave a tired wave. And just like that, I was alone. The sound of the main door slamming echoed down the hallway, followed by silence, that thick, pressing silence only office buildings seem to have late at night. Our office layout is shaped like a giant L. My room sits at the farthest bend, completely cut off from the main lobby. Once you're there, you don't hear anything from the outside. No footsteps, no doors, just you. I tried to keep my mind sharp. Went to the kitchen, poured some coffee. The pot was nearly empty. The only sound was the slow drip. 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 Then a bang. A door. Somewhere down the hallway. I froze, coffee in hand. Chaz was gone. There was supposed to be no one else here. I stepped into the hallway and called out, "Hello, someone there?" No answer. I walked the entire floor, checked every room. All doors were locked, everything in its place. But when I returned to my office, my door was shut. That might not sound scary, but I left it open. Always do. And the building has no airflow. There was no draft, no wind. I hesitated, then slowly reached for the handle, heart pounding. I swung it open, bracing for something to jump out. Nothing. My office looked untouched, monitor still glowing. My chair still pushed slightly back from where I stood earlier. But something felt off, like someone had just been there. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe a door hinge finally gave out. Maybe nerves. I sat back down and buried myself in code. But that uneasy feeling never left. Every thunderclap made me flinch. The lights above flickered once, maybe twice. By 11:45, I couldn't take it anymore. I saved my work and began shutting things down. When I clicked the screen off, it went black, and in that reflection, I saw her. A woman. standing right behind me. She wasn't from the office. She wasn't normal. Her hair was long, drenched water dripping from the ends, soaking the floor behind me. Her skin pale as death. Her mouth hung slightly open and her eyes empty, wide, wrong. She didn't move, just stood there staring not at me but through me. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. Instead, I stood slowly, grabbed my bag like nothing was wrong, and walked out of the room without closing the door. The hallway stretched in front of me like a tunnel. Each flickering light made it feel longer than the last. Then I ran. I don't remember how I got down the stairs. I only remember stepping into a puddle at the building's exit and not stopping until I was inside my car, shaking, drenched in sweat. I looked up at the third floor, at my window. The light was still on, and behind the blinds, I saw them twitch, like someone had just moved away after watching me leave. I called my manager, Miranda, right away. She sounded confused. "No one's allowed to be on that floor after 9, she said. She called security immediately. The guards checked the cameras. Only one angle showed the main entrance. It showed exactly what I already knew. Only 2 people entered that night. Me and Chaz. No one else. They searched the entire floor, every room, every closet. Nothing. But they believed me. Because here's the thing. The floor was still wet. But there was no water leak, no rain damage. Just puddles. In a perfect trail, leading into my office. I've never worked late again. And to this day, whenever I shut down my screen, I pause. Because sometimes, just sometimes, I still see something reflected in the glass, and I never want to turn around to check. Story 2. The Giant in the Basement. If you've ever worked security at night, you know the difference between silence and wrong silence. I used to be a night shift security guard in a luxury high-rise building in Manhattan. 37 stories, glass walls, dozens of businesses from law firms to medical offices. But my job, simple. Watch the front lobby, log who comes in and out, respond to the occasional alarm. I'd worked there for almost 2 years without anything unusual, until one night in early November. It started with a call from the dermatology clinic on the 25th floor. A receptionist, clearly panicked, said the elevator wouldn't go down to the basement. She was trying to retrieve supplies from storage, but said the panel wouldn't even let her select B1. Now the elevators in that building are smart, connected to the central system. So if there's a power issue or someone trips a breaker down there, it can disable the whole access chain. I told her to wait, I'd check it myself. I logged the incident, grabbed a flashlight, took the stairs down. The entrance to the basement was at the back of a narrow maintenance hallway. Normally it's just dim and dusty, but that night, the moment I pushed open the door, I felt it. Cold. The kind of cold that doesn't come from broken pipes or winter wind. It felt off, like something was pushing back. I stepped into the pitch-black corridor. The overhead lights were out, completely dead, which was strange. The backup system should have kicked in. As I moved deeper into the basement, the silence became suffocating. No echo, no humming vents, no mechanical clicks. Just the sound of my own boots. This place was a maze, narrow corridors, storage units, and mechanical rooms. But what caught my attention immediately were the doors. They were open, no smashed. 6 or 7 of them, storage room doors made of heavy aluminum, torn apart hinges, bent locks hanging loose. I scanned each one. Nothing inside looked stolen, no signs of fire, no rodents. But things were scattered, drawers yanked out, shelves knocked over, like someone had been searching, or raging. As I turned a corner, my flashlight flickered. I tapped it, muttering to myself. Then bang. A loud metallic crash echoed through the corridor. Close. Too close. I froze, My ears rang. Then, nothing. No footsteps, no rattling pipes, just a thick, crushing stillness. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. I reached for my radio, but it wouldn't transmit. No static, no beeps. Dead. I took a slow step forward, scanning ahead, and that's when I heard it. Breathing. Deep. Ragged. Like lungs trying to remember how to work. It came from just around the bend near the utility junction. I killed my flashlight and peered carefully around the corner. There, facing the concrete wall, was a man, or at least something shaped like one. Except he wasn't right. He was huge, hunched, arms too long, neck bent at a grotesque angle, and in his hand, something that looked like a tool or an axe. It glinted once in the dark. I held my breath, tried to back up slowly. Then, he turned. His head twisted first unnaturally, like it wasn't attached right. His body followed, and I saw his face, pale, misshapen, like melted clay. 2 black pits where his eyes should have been, yet I felt them lock onto me. I didn't scream. I ran. My footsteps pounded like thunder through the corridors. I yelled, "Security police are on the way," hoping to scare him. But I never heard him follow. I didn't look back. Burst through the stairwell, up 4 floors in record time. When I got to the lobby, I slammed the door shut and called 911. Police arrived 12 minutes later. I told them everything, every detail. I was shaking so badly they had to write it down for me. They searched the basement top to bottom. Found nothing. Except the elevator wires had been yanked out. Completely ripped. Like someone wanted that place isolated. The backup generators were disconnected. And the security camera down there smashed. But the biggest thing, the doors. Heavy industrial-grade steel. Busted open like they were made of cardboard. One officer quietly told me, "There's no way a normal person could have done that." I filed my report, took a leave the next day, and never went back. Now every time I hear footsteps behind me at night, I remember that hallway, that shape, that face. And I wonder whatever I saw that night. Was it still down there, or did it find a new place to hide? Story 3. The medical room that didn't exist. Some places feel wrong, even when they're brand new. In 2002, I was working the night shift at a call center in Makati, a busy city in the Philippines known for its business districts and towering glass buildings. Our office was located on the 11th floor of a brand new high-rise that was still under construction. Only half the floor was in use, the other half was blocked off unpainted walls, exposed concrete loose wires hanging from the ceiling. You'd think they'd at least close it off completely. But nope. A single door separated us from that cold, unfinished side. I worked graveyard shifts. 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Usually there were only a handful of us in the office, agents taking calls, a supervisor or two, and 1 floor guard on rotation. It wasn't scary, just quiet. But one night everything changed. My coworker Maylene had been complaining of a headache since the start of her shift. By 2 a.m. she looked pale, sweaty, and dizzy. She told me she was seeing spots. I offered to walk her to the medical room. Here's the weird part. None of us had ever used that room before. It was supposedly located in the unfinished wing, which made no sense. Why would they put something like that on the abandoned side? Still above one of the doors in the dark hallway, there was a clean white sign that read, "Medical Room." I remember this clearly. It was lit from within, bright, warm light seeping through the frosted glass. It even had that soft blue cross symbol next to the label. It didn't feel eerie. It felt like safety. We knocked. No answer. I tried the handle. Locked. We figured maybe the nurse had stepped out. I sat Maylene down on a stack of cardboard boxes while we waited. After a few minutes, she said she was feeling a little better, so we headed back to the main side to get her some water. About 30 minutes passed. Then she asked if we could try the medical room again just to see if someone had come back. So we did. But this time, there were no lights. The hallway was darker than before, and the glowing white sign gone. No light behind it, just a plastic frame. I reached for the door. It opened, but inside, there was nothing. Just bare concrete, dust, unfinished drywall, loose cables hanging from the ceiling. No bed, no desk, no supplies. Just an empty shell of a room like it had never been touched since construction began. Maylene gripped my arm so tightly I could feel her nails. She whispered, "This was not what we saw earlier." I nodded, stunned. Because I knew she wasn't imagining it, I had seen it too. We both stood frozen for a moment, trying to understand what we were looking at. Then the temperature dropped. And I mean dropped. From warm and humid to freezing in seconds. You could see our breath. Goosebumps ran up my arms. It felt like something cold had entered the space with us. Something invisible. Maylene let out a small gasp. Tears began to roll down her cheeks. She said she felt something behind her, like someone exhaling down her neck. I turned us around immediately and walked fast, not quite running, toward the main hall. As we crossed back through the separating door, I felt that sensation like being watched. The guard on duty saw our faces and stopped us. What happened? We told him. He frowned. Said there was no medical room yet, that the sign had just been placed as a placeholder for future development. He swore the room was still being built and had no furniture, no lighting, no wiring yet. I asked him if anyone had entered that side that night. He said no. No lights were even hooked up. But then something strange happened. As we stood there talking, we heard it. From the hallway behind us, a soft creak, like the sound of a stretcher being wheeled slowly across a hard floor. The guard immediately pulled out his flashlight and checked. Nothing. Just darkness. He told us not to go near that room again. Ever. From that night forward, people began talking. Whispers spread through our office. Stories of others who had seen lights flicker on in the abandoned side. Shadows behind frosted glass. Footsteps echoing in the unfinished hallway. A few months later, construction resumed, but that specific room was never converted into anything. Not a medical room. Not a storage room. Not even a closet. The workers said the walls kept cracking. That their tools would go missing. And at least 2 of them refused to work alone on that end of the floor. They eventually sealed it off. But to this day, I still dream about that warm light and that fake sense of comfort. As if something, or someone, was waiting for us to come in. 3 stories, 3 buildings, 3 different nights. But the same feeling. That chilling realization that we were never truly alone. We like to think of our workplaces as rational, sterile, structured, a place of numbers, deadlines, and coffee breaks. But sometimes, something slips through the cracks in time, through the reflection of a black screen, through a door that shouldn't be there. And once it sees you, you'll never quite be able to look away. So the next time you decide to stay late when the cleaning crews are gone and the silence thickens, think twice before walking down that hallway. Double-check that reflection, and whatever you do, don't open the door that's never supposed to be there. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you enjoy true scary stories like these, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next terrifying tale. And if you've ever had a strange experience at work, a sound you couldn't explain, a locked door that opened on its own, share it in the comments below. Because maybe, just maybe, your story will be the next one we tell. Stay safe out there, and never look behind you unless you're ready for what's looking back.